This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spar05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner. Welcome to the Circuit of Zolder, celebrating its 50th birthday. It's the fourth round of the championship of the Supercar Challenge with all divisions present, supporting the Italian Superstars World Racing Weekend. Well, in today's show, the unique combination of the Supercar Challenge GT division and the Italian GT Sprint Series. Exciting battles with unexpected results. On Saturday morning, the Super GT, GT and GTB divisions qualified in two sessions for their starting places for races 1 and 2. The Ferrari of Martin Rosso Racing performed well, but it was a short outing for the 458 GT2 of Jan Versluys. The worried team looking at the screens in the pit box, the Ferrari parked in the gravel trap at the Villeneuve chicane with major frontal damage. The car was brought in, the damage is even worse than they had feared. The whole front end of the chassis was bent.
Ik heb al gezegd aan het begin van het seizoen, Jantje lacht en Jantje huilt.
I said from the start this could be a season of highs and lows, says Jan. Definitely this is a low. Really caught me by surprise. Don't know if it's a technical problem or some oil on the track, so we'll have to look at that. I was going down the hill about 225 kilometers an hour, hit the brakes, and then the car snapped immediately left, smashed into the concrete wall. Enormous impact. Luckily Jan's okay, his injuries are minor, but the cars are not.
Ja, ik ben even medisch centrumonderzoek geweest. De verzorging.
I went to the infield medical centre. They took good care of me. They're really great there. They checked me over, heart rate, blood pressure. So yeah, I'm okay, but the weekend's over. Real disappointment. Nothing left to do but prepare the car to be shipped back to Michelotto for major repairs. The team could have brought out their older 430 GT2, but with Jan unwell and confidence lower than ever after two unexplained crashes, they decided not to. Pole for both races was claimed by Glyn Geddy in his McLaren MP412C, but that puts a load of pressure on Father Jim's shoulders. Last time out in Zolder, he lost a lot of ground.
Yeah, I think I got it totally wrong. I gave up to the guys in front and basically thinking stay out of trouble because Glyn will get in the car, but I left too big a gap. So I think the Slovak ring after that in Spa that I've just got defending, I think we defended well in Slovakia and handed the car in a good position, and certainly Spa's given me confidence as well. I'm far more up to speed with the car now, so it's hopefully better today anyway, sir.
So the McLaren is on pole position alongside the blue Volvo of Henry Zumbrink. Bob Herber starts his Ferrari in third, Roger Graal's Corvette is fourth, and they return to the scene of the opening race of the championship. Interlopers on the grid in fifth place, the Audi R8 of Thomas Schlerfer and Lawrence Vantoor, alongside Peter Hovenaar's Dutch Viper. So away we go, rushing down to the start line then. Jim Geddy on the inside, and already Bob Herber challenging on the inside of the Volvo for second place. Jostling in the pack, they all make it through safely. Roger Graal's using the torque of the Corvette to try and pull alongside the Ferrari, but he finds the door closed. Corvette and Porsche, newcomers to the series, behind the top car, the Audi of Thomas Schlerfer. Jim Geddy racing away quickly, down into the first chicane. Oh, and problems for Jan van der Kooi. The Lotus sideways and into the pack. Are they all going to miss him? They do. Wow, that was a narrow moment. He was third in the GT class. Rejoins right at the back. Well, let's take a look from his onboard. Down into the braking area. Ooh, was that driver error in a lockup or did something break? Turned sharp left. He was lucky to avoid damage. Jim Geddy now with the Volvo closing once more in second place. On board with Bob Herber. Shares his Ferrari with Martin Lanting. And Henry Zumbrink did not get the Volvo stop well there at all. Bob Herber's got a run. Oh, little contact there as well. This is edgy stuff. Full tanks, coldish tyres still. The Corvette right behind waiting to take advantage, but look at the torque of that Volvo V8. Now once more down the front straight, here comes Bob Herber. Volvo moving around left, right and centre. Herber's on the racing line. Will he get through on the inside? Here he comes. Yes, Volvo just out very wide. Ferrari straight by into second place. That was a well-judged move. On the left, Roger Graal shows his nose at the Volvo. Down into the chicane. Oh, Geddy's got it wrong. Jumps the curbs. And Bob Herber whistles by as well. Herber absolutely flying. Jim Geddy has lost the lead. And don't forget, first time in the championship at Zolder. Didn't do so well in races 1 and 2. Now he's got more confidence in the car and better understanding perhaps of his rivals. Let's see if he can cling on at the top end of the field. In second place, the blue Volvo, then Roger Grals in the Corvette. On board with Henry Sumbrink. Oh, and again, Geddy outbrakes himself at the end of the straight. That's not good news. He drops down into third place. Well, got the Jochenrindt curve wrong. Very easy to do. Roger Grals now attacking in the Corvette, down into the Jackie Ick chicane and through on the inside, forcing his way through. And it's always easier to overtake a driver once he's just been passed because they get a little rattled and lose their rhythm. Now Jim Geddy trying to force his way back. Didn't quite get the line off the corner. He's on the inside, but he's going to run out of road on the exit if he tries to get inside the Corvette. Have to stay in fourth and try and hang on in front of Peter Hoevenaars. There's Hoevenaars, 111, the Dodge Viper, through on the inside already. And the McLaren keeps its place, driving all the way around the long way for Jim Geddy. Oh, this doesn't sound good for Bob Herber. Oh no, the car has died. Well, after its debut in the Slovakia ring, this new car had problems with the fuel pump, and you have to reset it. But he's been handed the black flag by the organisers, and that's really bad news.
Ja, het was iets onverklaarbaars. De auto ging in één keer heel erg inhouden. Hij ging echt heel goed.
I don't know quite what's going on at the moment. All of a sudden the engine started holding back. There's a number of things you can do to fix it. First 3 suggestions from the team on the radio didn't help much. I stopped twice to reset the car. That didn't work. Then a final suggestion that did work. Complete reset once you turn the car off. Then it ran like clockwork, but it was too late. They'd already given me a black flag. I stopped too many times in the wrong place. That's a shame, unfortunately. Return to the championship of Perry van Elk with the Blueberry Racing Mosler MT900. He started from the back of the grid after problems in qualifying earlier in the morning, but he's doing really well, battling Roberto Del Castello's Corvette Z06. That's for 9th place as he goes through. And the Ferrari 458, driven by Cordoni and Mantovani, and the Porsche of Solieri in front. Mandatory pit stops. Early stop for the McLaren team to let Glyn Geddy take over from Father Jim.
Took the start. Well, you told me I was so bad the last time. I had to go good this time, so fortunately we held on. That's 2 personal bests here, 2:34 and 34.8, 34.9. So that's the hardest I've driven here. So it was good. It was good. So handed the car over on third, but 30-second penalty. Hopefully we can still get on the podium and get the points. We've got fastest lap, so hopefully it's going to come together.
Well, Glyn Geddy immediately into a battle with the Corvette of Roger Grals, who jumps the chicane there, getting through one of the slower Porsches. Oh, and then squeezes the McLaren. Team watching from the pit wall, United Autosports, owned by Zach Brown, and there's the team boss with the headset on, Richard Dean. Father Jim watching the action as well. Well, Grals with 25 seconds of results added to his pit stop. Becomes an immediate target for the McLaren. Whoa, close stuff indeed. Grals determined not to give the place up. It is for third. Glyn Geddy right in there with the McLaren, keeps showing the nose, keeps getting alongside. Eventually this persistence must pay off, you think. Again, Grals using the car to block the McLaren. Down to the chicane once more. Glyn Geddy shows the nose. Roger Grals shuts the door but gets it wrong. Over the curbs. On the sand, Glyn Geddy slides past and somehow grabs that third place. They are loving that action. Well, let's take a look from Glyn Geddy. Sand everywhere. Oh, fast hands just held on to that. No result seconds during his pit stop means the new leader is Henry Sumbrink, but getting it wrong under braking again at the first left-hander right the way through the gravel. Well, his throttle pedal apparently is jamming. He's having to lift it off the floor with his feet when he gets onto braking. Lead battle in the closing stages with Glyn Geddy. The Volvo locking up late and deep into all the braking areas. And through goes the McLaren. Or does it? No, the Volvo is still there, desperately trying to make it all slow down. And of course, when you're on the brakes, if the throttle is still open and the engine's pushing you forward, the car does not want to slow down. Well, Glyn Geddy having a titanic battle with Henry Zumbrink, just as he did with Roger Graals in that Corvette, and again always having to save the McLaren from some pretty extreme angles of attack as he tries everything to get by. Into the chicane. This time he's got to run, but it's such a short run over the hill. It's the long way round on the outside. Once more, he can't get it down into Villeneuve. Really piling on the pressure. The Volvo struggling. It'll have nothing left in tyres, but the clock is fast running down. Can Henry Zumbrink hold on? On to the start-finish straight once more. And look at the Volvo pull away. The McLaren picks up its skirts and has a run down the inside. Glyn Geddy at the apex, but the Volvo turns in. There's contact. It was a late lunge.
Fucking you, fucking prick!
It was a late lunge to the inside.
Go on.
And the McLaren is still going. The Volvo is in the gravel. Now has he lost the lead? He has. Henry Zumbrink walks away. Shakes his head. So going on to the last lap then with Glyn Geddy, comes from a long way back, and Zumbrink I think was already going for the apex.
Yeah, again a joke of Volvo again causing 3 accidents at Spa, another accident now. Alongside him into the first corner, he's got a problem. He can't just try and race away, his car's fine. Absolute joke of driving standards.
Ja, 2 rondjes voor het eind bleef mijn gas hangen op het einde van het rechtstuk. Zo vloog ik er best wel hard af.
Well, 2 laps before the end, my throttle was jammed at the end of the start-finish straight. I ended up in the gravel trap at high speed, but I had a decent lead, so I was able to get back on track in the lead. But then I had Geddy right behind me. Last lap, he tried to overtake into the first corner. We collided. I ended up in the gravel trap, and he ended up with a puncture. Well, Glyn Geddy indeed with a puncture, struggling to get it to the end. And the McLaren on the very last lap. Roger Graals, no trouble getting by. And that makes it a second race win for Roger Graals. And the Team Race Art very happy with that. Not so happy at United Autosports. The McLaren second ahead of Peter Huvenaars. Well, Roger Graals the beneficiary. As he says, when there are 2 dogs fighting for a bone, the third dog will get it. Great old Dutch saying. So Roger Graals, the race winner. Frenchman Pierre-Etienne Bourdais took pole for the first race in the GT division, held it up to the pit stops. The Belgian Delahaye racing team has made this car more reliable, and it's really starting to pay off. And of course, it's one of 2 Volvo S60 V8 silhouettes. The blue car behind him. More power for Henry Zumbrink than for Pierre-Etienne Bourdais, but still enough to challenge the V10 Viper of Englishmen Wilkins and Scott, who ended up in third. Belgian drivers Van Bellingen and Slice, who take second. The Frenchman winning again. The very quick Eric Fick and Rudy Lemons win the race in GTB with their KTM Crossbow from Rennie Wine and Charlie Frains. And Marcel van Berlo in third. Race 2 from Zolder on Sunday, coming right up. This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spar05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner. Round 4 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Dunlop at Zolder, the GT divisions combined with the Italian GT Sprint Series. The grid girls will need their umbrellas, not because of summer sunshine, but because of the unpredictable clouds moving over the circuit, already starting to sprinkle the occasional drop or two of rain. And that is going to make life tricky for the drivers.
I'm sure we'll be one of the quicker in the wet as well, so either or, but it's obviously with the way they drive in the dry, it'd be even more interesting than the wet, I'd say.
Well, Lawrence Van Tor, Audi Works driver in the Blancpain and Endurance Series, starting in this race. Peter Cox, Lamborghini Works driver, also starting third on the grid in the LP600 Gallardo. And already it's starting to spot with rain. It's cool, 17 degrees air temperature, track around 20. The McLaren on pole position, Jim Geddy starting again from Henry Zumbrink. Peter Cox third and Lawrence Van Tor fourth. There's the Lamborghini and the Audi. Roger Grals and Bob Herber, Corvette and Ferrari, 5th and 6th. Peter Hoevenaars and Roberto Del Castello and Piero Necci's Corvettes mean lots of American muscle at the front end of the grid. Oh, down the inside, right behind the McLaren, the red Lamborghini of Peter Cox. Dutchman making a very strong start. Oh, and over the curbs. Henry Zumbrink a little squirrely. There's the Lamborghini through into second, challenging for the inside line. Jim Geddy in front with the McLaren, but I think the Lamborghini's going to sneak through. That's Roger Grals right in front of us in third place. Lamborghini leads Peter Cox. Second place the McLaren. Third the Corvette. There's the Audi, the red and black car of Lawrence Van Tor, right in front of Peter Hoevenaars. So Peter Cox stamping his authority on the race from the word go, and wiper on already on Jim Geddy's screen in the McLaren. Now whether he's knocked it on by mistake or not remains to be seen, and Jan van der Kooi bumps over the curbs at the chicane. At least he wasn't backwards this time. And if the rain comes, maybe the nimble Lotus might have a chance to move up. Peter Cox leads from Jim Geddy, Roger Grals in third, Henry Zumbrink fourth, Bob Herber right with him in fifth place, on board with a Ferrari. And you can already see spits and spots of rain on the screens of these cars as they come down the start-finish line. 1 hour, the weather could do an awful lot to change, and it's either a choice of slicks or dry tyres as Bob Herber goes up the inside of Henry Zumbrink for fourth. There are no intermediates in the series. Now, Jim Geddy once more under pressure. This time Roger Grals in the Corvette. And the hot slicks will still be giving grip even if there is a few drops of rain on the track. Grals on the inside and the doors open. Through goes Bob Herber. Is he going to get the Corvette as well? Great move, he did. Grals deep on the inside. Oh, and Herber around the outside. Which way is this going to play? They're slowing each other down. Here comes Henry Zumbrink in the blue Volvo. He too goes by Jim Geddy. Geddy couldn't get the gap he needed, and Lawrence Van Tor in the Audi is now queuing up behind the McLaren. So Grals still in there. Wow. Battle for third. Bob Herber up the inside. And through he goes. Herber, Grals, Zumbrink, then Geddy, and Lawrence Van Tor as well. Van Tor up the inside for fifth place. So Jim Geddy, leader in the first turn, now down to sixth. Well, there is the MTM team. I think they might be pleasantly surprised by the pace of their rivals in this competition. On board with Peter Hoevenaars in the Dodge Viper. That's one of the visiting Corvettes right in front. Roberto Del Castello and Piero Necci driving that yellow machine. Hoevenaars makes short work of them at the final Jackie chicane, but it is Peter Cox that leads the race. Teammate Nico Pronk watching anxiously. And here's why. Bob Herber right behind. The Martino Rosso team, supported by AF Corsa. They dropped out in Saturday with a faulty camshaft sensor. That's all now been resolved, so the engine running sweet as a nut. And Bob Herber drags by the Lamborghini. Track already starting to glisten. Curbs a very slippery look. Wipers on. So Bob Herber with the lead at the first chicane. Worse problems for Barry Van Elk than wet. He runs out of brakes at the Jochen-Rindt curve, and luckily the runoff area is very deep. So now the choice is what tyres to use. Do you stay on slicks or gamble on wets and hope the weather comes to you? In either case, well, in the pit stops, Some drivers gambled. The Gettys couldn't do better than 5th place in the race. Henry Zumbrink, no result seconds, and wet weather tyres opening up a 20-second lead over Herbert and Lanting's Ferrari to win the Super GT race. After winning the second race in the opening round at Zolder, he has again won in Zolder on Sunday. Martin Lanting, Bob Herbert second, Peter Hoevenaars once more third in the Viper. The Gettys in fourth, struggling for grip ahead of Grauls and Mason. So the Davey Tech team, wife and baby son all looking very happy. A good result finally after a run of bad luck.
Ja, gelukkig wel. Ja.
Yeah, finally we made it, says Henry. It's been a weekend of ups and downs. Yesterday I think we had our share of bad luck. Today everything worked out great. Team was great. Wise decision to change to wets. Car was perfect. A happy Henry then on the top step of the podium, even if he is losing the Champagne Wars, but he's moving up the championship standings. No racing here for Jan Versluis means that he is the big loser. He slips from 3rd to 4th in the rankings as Henry moves up to 3rd behind Roger Grauls and the Gettys, who still top the points table. Cheerful Frenchman Pierre-Etienne Bourdais claimed pole for both races in the GT class in his Volvo S60. On board with Jan van der Kooi at the start. On the left of the picture is Craig Wilkins in the Dodge Viper he shares with Aaron Scott, going through Stefan Bellingen. In the BMW Silhouette he shares with Ward Slice. And going around Pierre-Etienne Bourdais as well for 3rd, Jan van der Kooi, trying to get the run around the outside of the BMW. But Van Bellingen finding the grip there. Van der Kooi in 3rd place, Van Bellingen in 2nd. But it is the Viper of former British GT racers Craig Wilkins and Aaron Scott leading the GT class at this stage. Out of the Bianchi box down to the chicane, hard on the brakes. And Van der Kooi this time keeping the car intact as he bounces over the curbs. Through goes Van Bellingen. Well, soon the Volvo is back on the hunt, having got by the Lotus, this time taking the BMW for 2nd in class, with Van der Kooi going over the top of the rise, trying to take the place back. As the rain arrived, Bourdais spun out of 2nd place, the Viper duo still leading. That handed 2nd to Steve Van Bellingen. See what happened there. Jan van der Kooi sneaked by, and then, yes, he too spun out of 2nd place, allowing Bourdais back in front. But it was the little Praga R1 after the pit stops that came through in the treacherous conditions here, going by even Zumbrink's Volvo. A remarkable win for Danny van Dongen, the Praga test driver. Bourdais 2nd, Wilkins and Scott taking 3rd. Well, the R1 is such a lightweight car. When it started to rain, it got very exciting with everyone still on slicks. But the pit window opened just in time. We changed straight onto wets. With the Praga, the more speed you carry into the corners, the more downforce you get, and that's what you need in the rain. After a while, track started drying up. Normally that would ruin your tyres, but with this light car, you don't have a problem. Well, with Wim Lumbeck not competing in this round either, he slips down 2 places as Pierre-Etienne Bourdais takes over the lead of the championship in the GT class. Pole position in GTB for the Cup Porsche of René Wijnen and Charlie Freins, who started the race, and he turned in what was a dominant performance. Marcel van Berlo being no match in the rain, he crashed his Porsche into the wall down Sacraments Hill. René Wijnen finished the job off to the delight of the Lamertink racing outfit. Wijnen and Freins the winners from Lemons and Quick, with Patrick Lamster and Mark Noyens in 3rd. We left our Sparta Barker behind us, did well here. Yesterday we were 2nd, we improved the car a little bit overnight, says René. Charlie did the first stint, did a great job, handed the car over in the lead. I was able to finish it off. The team, I think, did a great job and they really deserve this win, so I'm very happy for them. So Werner van Herk drops 2 places down to 4th. Rudy Lemons moves up 1 to 2nd. Patrick Lemster and Mark Noyens still leading as Freins and Wijnen move up to 3rd. Well, stay with us. Coming up after the break, the 2nd round of the Superlights division, the latest addition to the Supercar Challenge powered by Dunlop. This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spar05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner. This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spar05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner. Welcome back to the Circuit of Zolder in the northwest of Belgium. The track's well known for its extreme wear and tear on brakes and tyres, with fast corners, heavy braking and tight and twisty chicanes. It's a tough challenge for the touring cars and GTs, but it's the perfect setting for the latest division of the Supercar Challenge powered by Dunlop, the Superlights. The starting grid consists of 4 classes, varying from the fast and nimble Radical SR3s, SR8s and Pragas, and also the CN group with Norma, Wolf, Juno and Ligier chassis. And the number of entries is growing every time out. It's becoming the place to be for exciting racing with lightweight prototypes. So this time we take a closer look at some of the cars and drivers and show you the highlights of Sunday's race. Ready for the start of the race, and the grid girls heading out onto the track. But one of the girls on track in the Superlights division is there to race. She's 19-year-old Naomi Schiff. She wants to be the first South African woman in Formula 1 Grand Prix racing. She started karting at the age of 12 and rapidly developed a passion for racing, adrenaline and competition. But has she felt out of place in a sport dominated by the men?
Well, I'm starting to get used to it now. It's been 7 years, so for me it's not really different anymore. In the beginning it was a little bit strange, being the only girl around, but all the men in general have been very accommodating and welcoming, so I've never really felt left out or different.
Well, she'll be racing a Radical SR3 run by GH Motorsport, and despite her years of experience in karting, it's not an easy ride.
What makes this car special is that it's got a little bit less power, so you need to polish your driving skills, because with the other cars you have a little bit more power and that can carry you. If you make a mistake, it's a little bit more forgiving, but with this car you really need a push, and it teaches you to really be focused and make sure you do the best at all times.
So is this the start of something new? Will we see more of her this season?
I hope you will. We're looking for more money, for more budgets to race for this year, but it looks like we might be able to do a few more races.
Over 800 Radical SR3s have been sold worldwide, making it one of the most popular sports racing cars ever. And it attracts all sorts of drivers, including newcomer Rob Campus. He's a well-known Dutch TV presenter.
Ja, dat is een lang verhaal. Ik heb vorig jaar een keer met zo'n ding getest. En dit is een soort formuleauto, hè, maar dan met dichte wielkappen.
He says, well, it's a long story. Last year I tested this car for the first time. Really felt like a Formula car with covered wheels. It's amazing how late you can brake. So much fun, I've been dreaming of racing it for the last couple of months, but never got round to it. The impetus to start came when I organised an event where 6 kids get a passenger ride in a racing car. And this car's perfect. It comes with a standard passenger seat in it. Together with some friends in the sporting world, I started this cause Big Heart, and on every race event in Superlights starting at Zandvoort, we'll do taxi rides for sick kids prior to the race. It's a great way of combining my hobby and giving something back as well to the kids. Well, Rob won the first race of the weekend, but the car continues to amaze and delight him.
Gaat heel hard.
It's really fast, he says. The thing I've got to get used to is the braking. Last year I drove a GT1 Viper, and when I was getting to a corner doing around 260 kilometers an hour, I had to brake at 120 meters. That was the absolute maximum, or you'd be in the gravel trap. With this car you might be going a little slower perhaps, but you can brake at the 40 meters, the cornering speed twice as hard. It's all about downforce. It takes a while to learn before you really get the hang of it. And I got to say, in the high-speed corners I've still got a lot to learn. Competition's much quicker there, but I make up for it in the slower sections. Well, talking about extreme cornering speeds, what about the Wolf racing car? Its roots date back to the 70s in Formula 1, scoring wins with names like Jody Scheckter and Jackie Ickx. The team's back now with the Wolf GB08. The Italian twins Nicola and Stefano De Val are driving the car run by Buskoten, a racing team.
Deze auto, deze Wolf GB08, die heeft het echt voornamelijk van de downforce.
Well, this car, the Wolf GB08, generates most of its speed from downforce. Compared to the others, engine power just 255 horsepower. Not very spectacular, but the car's weight is very low, just around 520 kilos. So it comes down to its aerodynamic advantage, and that's astonishing. If you look at the lap times, knowing the power to weight ratio, it clearly shows how well this is working aerodynamically.
Onze verwachtingen voor dit seizoen, ik hou er niet van om heel hoog
Well, our expectations for the season, I don't know, don't want to aim too high, but we can and will end up high this season. The car's good, we've shown in free practice that we're near the front, so today's race hopefully will bring us good results. Other CN prototypes include the French-built Norma M20Fs, powered by a Honda VTEC engine, producing 255 horsepower. These cars carry a bit more weight due to their carbon fibre, aluminium and steel chassis compared to the all-carbon chassis of the Wolf. But looking at the overall specifications, it should be an equal match. And let's not forget the Praga R1, the brand new car from Slovakia, features a completely carbon monocoque chassis, the most advanced car in the field. Only 220 horsepower from its Renault Clio engine in 590 kilos, it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And driving it, new to the Superlights, Philip Ribbons and Robert de Graaf, they've swapped their Speedtech Viper for the Praga R1.
Ja, het is een geweldige auto.
Robert says it's an amazing car. You look at the construction and technology, every part is in the right place. It's fascinating. Spend a lot of time getting everything right up to spec. It shows when you drive this car, it's a real pleasure. Of course, it's not that powerful compared to our Viper from last year, but then again, the Viper had almost 700 horsepower. The Praga's got 220, and that requires a very different driving technique, which is quite difficult to learn. Well, they're about 1.5 seconds behind Praga factory driver Danny van Dongen. Not a bad start. Yeah, going pretty good, says Robert. We still got to get used to the car, and that's going to take a while. But we're not quite happy yet with our speed. Of course, that's us, not the car. It can go much faster, but we hope to be able to progress through the season. The more laps we get, the better we'll go. Let's take a look at the grid for Sunday's race. On pole is car number 750, that's the Radical SR8 of Henk Thies. And he'll be eager to win because in the first time out in Slovakia he was outpaced by Martin Short and Roger Green. Second on the grid, the Wolf GB08 of the De Waal brothers, with Stefano taking the first stint. On the second row, third up on the grid, Martin Short's Radical SR8. This time he doesn't mind chasing Henk Thies because he doesn't really like Zolder. He thinks it's a little dangerous. Fourth, the Norma M20F of Philippe Leclerc, the second of the CN prototypes. And there's another CN class car on fifth spot on the grid. Hans Verhelst with his Radical SR5, also with the 255 horsepower Honda engine. The first Praga R1 starts sixth, test driver Danny van Dongen. He dropped out of the race on Saturday, so he'll be eager to win on Sunday. And pole sitter in the Radical SR3 class, Ko Kopian in the number 784. So, formation lap and then a 50-minute race over 31 laps, but there's drama before the race even starts. A spin for Wim Juris catches out Philip Ribbons. Well, he spins avoiding the accident. As we see here in replay down at the chicane, cold tyres catch him out. He has trouble then restarting the Renault engine. And by the time he gets it going, he's blocking the safety cars. That means he's not allowed to rejoin the grid in his original starting position. And that causes confusion for Rick van Geffen. And that's why there's a gap on the right. Wim Juris should be there, but he decides to move up to that place in front of him. Confusion all round. So Henk Thies on pole in the red Radical SR8. Stefano De Waal in the Wolf GB08 alongside him. Canadian Walter Wolf, the man who originally founded the team, no longer involved in their sports car program. Great start from Martin Short, straight into second ahead of the Wolf and challenging Henk Thies into the first corner. Well, with 420 horsepower, the Radical SR8's got away from the rolling start quicker, but the Wolf around the outside, only 255 horsepower in its 2-litre Honda VTEC engine, but he's back up into second place. Martin Short still not comfortable with this technical Zolder circuit, and maybe just not quite pushing the attack enough. It's Henk Thies who leads. Stefano De Waal in second place. Martin Short in third with the blue highlights around the outside again, using the power of the engine to get down into the first chicane in second spot. Rides the curbs, and for the Wolf driver with less horsepower, it's going to be absolutely vital to keep momentum up. High cornering speeds will be required. Down into the Villeneuve chicane. Philippe Leclerc in the Norma in fourth place in the game. The Wolf sneaks through the chicane quicker than Short. There's Leclerc in the white and green Norma. Danny van Dongen next up the first. The Pragas in fifth. Again on board with the Wolf. as the SR8 stretch their legs down to the Jochen chicane. He struggles for speed, but closes right up. Short is not enjoying this race at all so far. Stefano Duval with a real challenge. He's going to have to outthink and outdrive Martin Short rather than outpower him. Once more onto the start-finish straight. Trouble already in the Radical SR3 class, that's Ziv Knoll. And that's down at the first chicane. Firmly up against the wall. Gets in too deep. Cold tyres, too much power, and just avoids a big impact. Battle in SR3, the black and gold car. That is Rick van Geffen. Rob Campus alongside in the predominantly white machine. He's got the outside line, more grip there, and through he goes up into third in class. Well, right in front of them now, Ko Kapian with the red highlights, going by the blue and white SR5 of Hans Verhelst, and that's a different class, that's the CN class cars. And Rob Campus goes past him as well. It all happens behind the new leader in SR3, Wim Juris. The guy who spun at the start has managed to take the lead in the first lap. Local knowledge at its best. Well, queuing up behind now is Van Geffen. Oh, and he's got trouble from behind. Look, the Praga R1, that's Barry van Elk, the Mosler driver. Van Geffen straight up the inside under yellows. And that's why the SR5 slowed so much. He might not get away with that. Barry van Elk behind in the white and blue Praga R1. Very different from his normal Mosler MT900. He's coming up the order fast. From having a big Corvette V8 behind, having this little 2-litre Renault Clio engine must be a big change, but he knows the circuit well. Sizing up the SR5, there's a lock-up in front from Van Geffen. And the Radical can't hold the line. The Praga's on the inside. Diminutive, lightweight, closed coupe shape of the Praga makes it really stand out in this field of otherwise open sports cars. Guest drive here from Barry van Elk, trying to get by the racing surgeon Hans Verhelst. There's his teammate Kai Verheyen watching from the pit wall. And here's the change for the lead. Ko Kopian retains first place after losing pole on the first lap. Can he hang on with the red highlights on his car? He can, so he moves into the lead of the class. But Juris counters in the same lap, going into the Jackie X chicane, retaking the lead. So Rob Campus now hot on the heels of Ko Kopian. So he is closing right up. These guys battling for 6th overall. The SR8's Normans and Wolfs in front. And Campus now hot on the heels of Wim Juris. Very close indeed and looking for a move for second place. Campus pretty experienced in a variety of different kind of touring cars. As he says, still learning about this car, particularly carrying speed into and through the corners. And now he's got the black car of Rick van Geffen closing in as well. Some great racing already in this Superlights category. These cars producing great overtaking action. And now here comes the recovering Philippe Ribbons with Robert de Graaf. First time out in this Praga R1. Hugely different from 700 front-engined horsepowers in the Viper they raced last year. So they too getting to grips with the car. Gets a run on the Verheyen SR5, but he doesn't have a horsepower advantage. 2-litre Renault Clio engine producing just 225 horsepower, and the SR5 is a match for that in a straight line. It's in the corners that the very technical Praga should make the difference. And Ribbons trying to find a way around, using the grip of the chassis. Holds the inside line, and through he goes. And that puts him up to 11th place. Stay with us for more action in the Superlights divisions after this. This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spar05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner. Welcome back to the Circuit of Zolder in Belgium. It's round 2 of the latest division in the Supercar Challenge powered by Dunlop, the Superlights. Fast and nimble sports cars with the faster Radical SR8 and Wolf CN prototypes up front. Italy's Stefano De Val had second place, but lost it again to Martin Short. His 255 horsepower Wolf no match for Short's 430 horsepower Radical SR8, but they're in a different class anyway. Henk Thees kept the lead from pole position, but has been chased by Martin Short's SR8 as the two battle for supremacy at the front of the field. Short the winner in the first race weekend at Slovakia Ring. Thees determined to use his local knowledge at Zolder to stay in front this time. Stefano De Val's Wolf remains in third place, leading the CN class, run by Baskirten Racing Team. They know that they've got a chance of winning with lap times so close to the leading SR8s. Pit stops must be taken between minutes 20 and 30 of the 50-minute encounter. And twin brother of Stefano, Nicola De Val, getting ready. He's got an orange helmet, so at least you can tell the two apart in the car. Well, Henk Thees leading the race, Martin Short in second place, but the Roll Centre team will have to wait a while for him to come round because he's outbraked himself and he's in the gravel at the first corner, not helping with his dislike of the Zolder circuit. Well, he just gets it wrong under braking and drops the car into the gravel trap. The De Val brothers move up to second. During the pit stops, no added seconds compared to 15 for Henk Thees, so things are looking good for the Italian twins.
Oh, well, the Radicals are pretty fast, so it was hard for me to keep up, but we managed to stay 20 seconds behind them in hoping for at the pit stop to gain some seconds and to probably win the race. Now Nicola is second. We think that's a great result because we are in CN class, so there are different classes, but we race for the overall as well. But still, second is the best result we can make, I believe. So we're happy about it.
Well, first is out of reach, and Baskirten telling Stefano that they've been handed a drive-through because of contact with another competitor. There was confusion about whether a blue flag was out or not. Stefano De Val not looking happy.
I tried to overtake a guy who was behind, but I thought he was blue flagged, so he could expect me overtaking him. He wasn't blue flagged, so it was my mistake, and I accidentally hit him while he was making his corner. So it was a right penalty, but I'm sorry about it. After the race, I will try to find the guy and apologize.
Henk Thees wins his first race of the season by 40 seconds. After being beaten by Martin Short in Slovakia, the 68-year-old racing veteran takes revenge at Zolder. A remarkable win. Definitely not an easy race, he said. Mr. Short was on my tail for most of the race. He wasn't giving up. You know, he's a guy with a lot of Le Mans experience. He really knows about aerodynamics, and it's great to compete against such a driver. On the tight and twisty sections he could get closer, but on the faster where I dared take a few more risks I was able to open a gap. It was very exciting throughout the whole race. I had no time to relax. I completely ruined my tyres, I pushed the car to limit and myself as well. I'm shattered. What more can I say? I think the old people's home should be very proud of me. I might have earned some senior citizen discount today. Well, Short's clearly got no respect for his elders because the battle with the champagne continues after the podium. Next time out they'll be at Assen to see who's the fastest there. For now, Henk Thees leads the championship ahead of Martin Short by just 6 points. The De Val twins are both studying for a mechanical engineering degree. They entered racing in 2011 just to see how it all worked. Looks like they're learning very fast. Together with the hard work of the Baskirten Racing Team and the determination of the twins, they ended up winning the second race of the weekend. Philip de Klerk took second spot with his Norma, and Guy Verheyen and Hans Herhelst were in third, miles behind the De Val brothers, even after the Italians picked up a puncture.
Yes, it turned out he had a flat tire, but it wasn't completely flat actually, so just a small puncture at the very end, I think the last 2 laps. So the pace was lower, but then everything was set up, so very good, very good. Even though with some problems, we managed to finish good, seconds overall, and behind the very much faster car, so we're very happy about this.
In the Radical SR3 class, the battle continued throughout the entire race. Rick van Geffen did Sunday's race on his own. Co Kopian and Rob Campus already passed the silver radical of Wim Juris after the driver made a mistake. Van Geffen goes around the outside in the canal box, has a bit of a bump, but gets through. Juris counters the same lap in the Jackie X chicane. Side by side onto the start-finish straight. A big handful of opposites saves it for Van Geffen. Exciting stuff indeed. Van Geffen once more lining up to try and make a pass. High-speed approach, desperately late braking, mistake from Wim Juris in the silver car, and through goes Rick van Geffen. Naomi Schiff in for the mandatory pit stop. She won't be pleased to be at the tail of the field, but it is her first time out in the Radical.
The race went well. Obviously it could have always gone better, but every lap I was progressing, going faster and faster, and that was really the aim for this weekend, to get comfortable with the car, to get used to riding on main circuit, and I feel every step better and better, so it was good.
Well, she lost a little ground early on, but at the end of her stint was lapping as quick as anything in SR3. Now it's up to team manager Dick Vermeesch to do the second stint. They'd end up 6th in class. Despite 15 seconds of result success after his race win on Saturday, Rob Campus had enough of a lead over Van Geffen to keep second place in the race behind Co Kopian. But all of Campus' tyres are shot, and Rick van Geffen towards the end able to sustain a challenge and make a pass down into the first chicane. 28 seconds ahead was Co Kopian, leading and winning in SR3. The car dealer lives near the Dutch sea coast. He's used to the wind in his hair then, and it showed. He set one of the fastest lap times in the class, won the race, and took the championship lead from Rob Campus by 1 point. Rick van Geffen and Vido Gardemacher 1 point down in third place in the standings. Everything went really well, says Co. We should have done the same yesterday, but I made a mistake. I thought I should take a drive-through penalty, but apparently it was someone else's. So I led the race then with a big margin. A bit of a shame, but I didn't make that mistake today. Everything went perfectly. In the Praga R1 class, factory test driver Danny van Dongen set lap times quicker even than the Radical SR3s, with less weight and more engine power. He had no result seconds and should move into the top 3. 2 metre tall Barry van Elk, A, manages to somehow fit in the car, and B, won on Saturday. He's got 15 seconds of results penalty, and that's going to drop him back behind the leader. Robert de Graaf lying third after taking over from Philip Ribbons in the pit stops, but there's something very wrong. Goes straight through the first chicane gravel trap and over Sacrament Hill. The car is clearly rubbing its Dunlop tyres. Well, the car definitely not right. Robert de Graaf saying, we haven't had a chance to see what's wrong. Suddenly a tyre blew up or something, but the steering went, couldn't make the corner, shot across the gravel. All I could do was come in and get the boys to check it over, but we're not going to go out again. There's nothing we can gain from taking the risk. Well, they completed 75% race distance, so still got third place, but it seems that they've been using the curbs too hard after years of doing it with the Viper. Danny van Dongen avoided that drama. His years of experience dates back to the days of Belcar. He showed the reliability and speed of the Praga R1. Last year a prototype, and now for sale to customers. Well, the official result chart shows Danny van Dongen third overall and winning the Praga R1 class. Henk Thies winning SR8, the De Waal twins in CN, and Co Kopian winning in the SR3 class. After dropping out of the race on Saturday, Van Dongen took his revenge on Sunday, securing the lead of the championship as well. Well, Saturday's gearshift problems were a thing of distant memory. He said we changed the setting on the compressor and the air pressure was stable, so the Praga was perfect. It worked like clockwork. I could do quick lap times and move forward. Everything worked out perfectly. So as event and series organiser Dick van Elk uses up the last of the champagne, everybody gets ready to pack up for the next race at Assen. Next time, the Superlights division will compete at the crowded Gamma Racing Day, the highlight of the season on the 3rd and 4th of August, and we'll bring you a full report. Until then, it's goodbye from Zolder. This programme is powered by Dunlop Tyres, Spa05.com, Autosportinsurance.com, Syntix and PPG Fitzner.